I'm Andre Obradovic. I'm a primal health coach. I'm a ICF certified PCC level leadership and personal coach. I run my own coaching business and I have done that for the last 7 years, and I help mainly men, sometimes women, change their life by going through a process where they learn about the reality of their health, and then I teach them how to change that and develop motivations for change, and I work with them one-on-one mainly to change their life, to get healthy and lose lots of weight. So when I was 48, which is nearly 10 years ago, I was paying a dietitian $200 an hour to keep me fat. So let me explain that a little bit. So, I was 48 nearly 10 years ago. I was 80 kilos. I was doing everything that the gym and exercise physiologists and the standard, exercise protocol and diet regime was telling me was what to do. And that was eat low fat, eat your grains, don't eat bacon, don't eat meat, don't avoid full fat foods, exercise, expend more calories than you consume. And I was paying $200 every month to sit down with a dietitian, and my weight would change by maybe 2 to 3 kilos. And it got to a point where I was running 70 kilometers a week, and my calves were that sore that I had to go and get a physio to massage them every week twice because I was in so much pain. So my sort of light bulb moment was I was following now what I know is what I call conventional stupidity. I was doing what Einstein said is insanity, which is doing the same thing over and expecting a different result. But the issue is I didn't know what I was doing wrong. But I got to a point where it was so terrible that I had to make a change. So I went looking for answers, and I went to an event where a man called Dr. Stephen Finney came to Australia and spoke at the Epworth Hospital for diabetics. And I went to that event, and from that night forward, I totally changed the way I ate. And since then, I've gone between 66 and 62 kilos for nearly 9 years, eating a low carbohydrate approach. I've totally changed my exercise regime. I'm much faster now than I was, 8, 10 years ago. So the light bulb moment for me was really about understanding that I was following the wrong advice and it wasn't working for me, and I had to make a change. The good thing is I found where I could understand what I had to do to make that change. And for me, I developed a vision of where I wanted to be with my health and didn't approach it as a 6-week or a 12-week challenge, which is what most gyms do and most people do. I said, I want to be running marathons faster as I get older. I want to be lean. I want to be able to be confident in my body and not be fat, because I was 80 kilos and now I'm between 62 and 66 kilos every single day. And no matter how much or little I exercise, it doesn't change. Fundamentally, I believe that men are here on earth to look after the people we love, to look after the community and our friends. But importantly, to do that, we have to look after ourselves. And I work with a lot of men, and I see it all the time where men are in busy jobs. They put themselves under a lot of pressure to deliver money, income, holidays, things to their families, because most men I work with have families, and they sometimes forget themselves. They forget the importance of looking after themselves. And we can't look after our families and our social connections and our friends and the community if we're not in a healthy state ourselves. So as a quick example, I was in the military for nearly 20 years ago. I've just been accepted back into the military to serve in the Army Reserve after 20 years of being out because I want to give something back to the community. I got a lot of experience. I did quite well in the Army, and they've accepted me back after 20 years. Now, that's me giving something back to young people that want to serve our country. And as a man, that's important to me. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't healthy. So whatever it is we want to do as a man, whether it's for our family, the community, or just ourselves, health is the cornerstone, in my opinion, both mental and physical. And then obviously there's emotional. So there's these three levels of health: mental, physical, and emotional. That if we're not physically well, I don't believe we can be mentally very well or emotionally well, because our medical condition will drive the way we think. It'll drive our blood sugar, put us on that blood sugar roller coaster, make us anxious, upset us. And, you know, it's all we really have control over in our life. People make these excuses about saying, oh, it's my genetics, or I'm big boned, or whatever. We all know that 85% of our health comes from our lifestyle choices. And that means what we do about our sleep, how we manage our stress, what we do about movement and exercise. And I call it movement because for someone that's 140 kilos, they're not exercising, they're just walking, and that's fine. And what we eat. And now what we eat should be number one. What we eat and what we do for sleep, they're sort of like the two number one things, because you can go without food for longer than you can go without sleep. But most people actually do get okay sleep, but it does affect us. So food is a fundamental, good nutrient-dense food is a fundamental thing about our health. And I believe that if we're a man with a family, we should be setting the best example we can of health. And if I can expand on that, once again, this is just my own opinion, and some people listening to this might think, gee, you're an idiot, but that's okay. In Australia, we're allowed to have an opinion. We're allowed to say something that people don't agree with. It doesn't mean we have to then bully them or harass them on social media. But I believe a man should set a good example for their kids. So if a man is healthy and they're eating good food and they're lean and got good body composition and they get outside and do yard work in the yard or exercise, that's setting our kids up for more success. But also, if a man is there every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, comes home from work or gets off the computer and sits down in front of the TV with a six-pack of beer, or they're having dinner with friends and they're drinking alcohol and they're saying, oh, it's the end of the week, it's so good to relax, and their kids are watching that, what sort of environment are we setting up for our kids? What sort of habits are we setting and beliefs are we setting for our young kids? And this is a topic I discuss a lot with the men I work with, a lot of them who drink alcohol, who really think about that mindset. So a mindset around health is all encompassing around not just exercise, sleep, food, and mindset, but also about our actions and what we do to influence others. Well, I think the first thing that a lot of men struggle with is a social environment and what the expectations are of what their assumed expectations are of other people. And one of those relates to alcohol, and the second around food consumption. So a lot of men think that if they don't drink beers with the boys, or they go out to a social function and they're not drinking wine at a wedding, people are going to think there's something wrong with them. So I see that as a big issue. but I've been quite successful working with men on fixing that, because once you have a conversation about it and ask them, is it really valid? You know, we can go a long way. So that's the first one, the whole social norms, I guess, of culture in our country. The second thing would probably be they don't actually recognise that their health is impacted by being overweight, because most of their mates are probably overweight. I think the numbers show 60% of Australians are overweight. And when you add obesity into that, you know, it's probably around 70 to 80% of people are overweight or obese. So it becomes normalised. So point two would be, all my mates are overweight. I'm 50, I'm 45. I've got a busy job. You know, I'm having fun. I'm overweight. That's life. So they don't actually acknowledge that that is something that's holding them back. And then probably the third one would be, it's all too hard. I don't know what to eat. Like, I'm in a rush. I've got to get to work. It's easier at the end of the week just to order pizza. And you know, the Wheat Bix has a healthy thing on it saying they're healthy. So why shouldn't I be eating Wheat Bix? And isn't orange juice healthy? So I think that third thing would be confusion about what's healthy and not healthy. Oh, and my doctors told me I should eat less fat because I've got high cholesterol, when we all know that's total bullshit. We have heart disease and we get fat because we eat too much sugar and carbohydrate and processed carbohydrates. So probably those three things are the key things, I think. So my top tips to help people, men that are sitting on the fence, would be, picture yourself in 20 years if you don't change what you're doing now. So let's say you're, I don't know, 48 and your kids are 10. I'm not good with maths here, but let's say you've got a daughter and she's going to get married in 20 years. So you'll be 68 maybe as a number. Do your own numbers. If you continue to do what you do now and you're already 15 kilos overweight, what are you going to look like? What are you going to feel like in 20 years at her wedding? Are you going to be in a wheelchair? Are you going to be in hospital on kidney dialysis because you've got severe diabetes? Are you going to be on a waiting list to have a liver transplant because you're so stupid that you don't understand what alcohol's doing to your liver? That's the first thing I'd ask you to do. The second thing would be go and get a health check from a doctor. Go and get your bloods done. Go and get your prostate checked. Do the bowel cancer screening. But then, just because the doctor says all your bloods are perfect, don't necessarily believe them. And if they tell you you got high cholesterol and you need to go on a statin, don't believe that, because my doctor told me I was going to have a heart attack if I didn't go on a statin, because he didn't believe in eating low carb. And I've just had screens done and I've got 0 calcium on my heart, and I'm 57. My heart age is under 30. So I have 0 risk of a heart incident in the next 10 years because of that test, but doctors won't do that. So go and get yourself checked. Ask yourself those questions about where do you want to be. And the other thing, get in your jocks, stand in front of a mirror and take a photo and ask yourself if that's how you want to be. And if it's not, you can do something about it.